my queen, my queen. Oh, she, oh, she. Beautiful, wonderfully made. She's heaven's angel. So strong, even in struggle, yeah. When life comes like a storm from every angle, she rises above it all, the backbone of every home. Nothing compares to all she do. The true meaning of every family. She's the glue. Yeah. Life inside, 9 months she's carrying back to work, cause the family she's carrying. Society don't give her just due, but she prevails and stands tall. A champion, a true woman. But nothing compares to all she do. Yeah, the true meaning of it. She's the glue. Yeah, oh. Where would we be without
Hello and welcome to Let's Talk with Bishop R.C. Blakes. R.C. is an author, empowerment teacher, and the proud pastor of the New Home Ministries of New Orleans, Louisiana, and Houston, Texas. His message circles the globe. His conversational and candid approach to challenging content makes him a relevant voice to all generations. Get ready for a life-changing transformational conversation.
Hello. This is R.C. Blakes, and here I am again. On another Monday night. Let's talk with R.C. Blakes. Well, it's Monday if you're watching this in the United States of America and other parts of the world. It may be Tuesday, and maybe you're watching this at a later date. So whatever time it is, hello. I'm so glad that you came back to see about us. I want to deal with something today that I think is very, very significant and serious in the life of most women, or in the lives of most women. And that is having the power to walk away. You know, I want to talk about the power of a woman that can walk away, because there comes a time in many situations where you've exhausted, and you really should not get to a place where you've exhausted yourself, your resources, or whatever. But most women get to a point where they've exhausted everything trying to make a relationship work. And, you know, we get into this mindset where women think rather, I got to fight for my relationship. Now, I do agree with you that there are times and seasons in certain relationships that we have to fight through certain things. But if a relationship is based in constant struggle, constant striving, you're constantly fighting for the life of this relationship, that would be the equivalent of, having to do CPR on a person every day to keep them alive. Number one, they're not going to live. Number two, if you try to keep this alive every day, having to perform CPR on a person, it's going to kill you. Relationships are not designed for one party, or for that matter, even both parties, to have to constantly fight to make it work. A relationship is not a context for misery. It should not just be a context for struggling and striving and fighting. The greater part of a relationship is supposed to be enjoyable. It is supposed to be mutual. It is supposed to be synergistic. We're supposed to be on the same page, moving at the same pace, going in the same direction. Do we have hiccups that we have to overcome? Certainly we do. I'd be a liar to say anything other than that. But 95% of a healthy relationship is the enjoyable part. The other 5% is us struggling and fighting, working together to accomplish our goals, So if you've been in that mindset, I think you need to rethink that, because some of you, quite honestly, are there now. You're just fighting, and you're the only one fighting. And as I just said, even if both of you are fighting, that may be an indication that maybe the two of you are just not equally yoked. But how much worse it is when you're the only one fighting and the other person is just looking at you fight. And you're struggling and striving, and they've told you, in some cases I've seen where men have told women, I don't want you, I'm not going to, this is not going anywhere. And there's some part of that woman that just can't let that man go. And she hangs on and hangs on and hangs on, and she turns 40, and she turns 50. And he told her back in her 30s, I don't want you like that. I don't see you as a wife. I don't, I'll keep having sex with you if that's what you want, but don't think that this is going anywhere. And she's still hanging on 15 years later. So I want to talk about the power of a woman that can literally walk away. Now, you already know this. This stems from, my personal experience with my wife, and how, I was confused and I didn't think I wanted to be married. And I said to my wife after some years of dating, I don't think I want to be married. I think you probably need to move on. And to my surprise, she actually did that. It was later I discovered that she was heartbroken, but the way she moved on, and as quickly as she moved on, I said, well, man, I wonder if this woman ever really loved me. She was able to do it so quickly, And it really, later I learned, it really had nothing to do with her love for me. She loved me and she was heartbroken. But the beauty in the story is that she loved herself more. Moving on is a self-love move. You just sitting there taking this abuse, taking this disrespect. You gotta find the power to move on. Now let's go to Genesis chapter 21, verses 14 through 17. And I just pulled this block of verses out because the story is just too long for me to read the whole story. But I'll give you the backstory. Abram is an old man in his 80s. I think somewhere in his 80s or close to 90 or something like that. And God says to him, I'm going to make you the father of many nations, and I'm going to give you a son. But not only is Abram an old man, his wife is an old woman. And so his wife has this slave girl by the name of Hagar. And so she hears the story about, I'm going to give you a son and you're going to have, and she laughs. And so her solution for God's promise is, why don't you just take my slave girl and make a son with her, and we'll call it a day. And so Abram obliged, and he did exactly that. He had a son by the name of Ishmael with Hagar, the slave girl. And so God, being God, came through and did exactly what he said he was going to do. Hagar, in her old age, got pregnant and had a son by the name of Isaac. Well, now Abram has his wife and he has a concubine, effectively, that are both living in his home. Both of them have sons. Now that Sarah has her son, she says, this woman can't be in here. She's disrespecting me. You know how it is. She's probably making up a whole lot of stuff. She and that boy got to go. And God said to Abraham, let them go. And so now Abram has to put his son, Ishmael, and the mother of his son, the mother of his child, out. And Hagar has to walk away from Abram. Now, it's interesting, when we think about what we're talking about, it felt like Hagar was leaving her support system. It felt like she was leaving home, all that she had known, but here was the reality. Hagar was walking away from slavery. Abram was inviting her to leave slavery. And maybe the Spirit of God has me on here today talking to somebody who feels like your enslavement, your broken consciousness is your support system. It's your home. It's your happy place. I don't know how you could assume it's a happy place, as much misery as it's causing you. But maybe you say, how can I do this? And maybe the real invitation is for you to abandon slavery. So let's go to Genesis 21, 14 through 17, since you have the backstory. So Abram got up early in the morning and took bread and a skin of water and gave them to Hagar, putting them on her shoulder, and gave her the boy and sent her away. And she left, but lost her way, and wandered aimlessly in the wilderness of Beersheba. When the water in the skin was all gone, Hagar abandoned the boy under one of the bushes. She left him there, in other words. Then she went and sat down opposite him about a bow shot away, for she said, I guess, as far as you can shoot an arrow. For she said, do not let me see the boy die. She couldn't stand watching him die. They're out there and they're starving and they're parched. They need water. And as she sat down opposite him, she raised her voice and wept, and heard the voice of the boy, and the angel of God called to Hagar from heaven and said to her, what troubles you, Hagar? Do not be afraid, for God has heard the voice of the boy from where he is resting. And when you read on, you discover that God says, even though you were put out of Abram's house and all of these kinds of things, I'm going to make your son a king. And, everything's going to be amazing. I'm going to do this for you. I'm going to do that for you. And could it be that while you're trying to hold on to the old dysfunctional norm, that God is trying to take you from enslavement to royalty? Maybe your elevation to a place of royalty, queen consciousness, is in your willingness to embrace the pain of moving on from a dysfunctional norm. You got to what? Choose your pain. I always talk about that. Are you gonna, continue with the pain of being disrespected, being ignored, being a side chick, whatever the case may be, just for the sake of holding on to what's familiar? Or are you going to embrace the pain of disconnecting yourself from a toxic system and actually healing and actually evolving into all that God created you to be? You got to choose your pain. And so, though it seemed harsh and though it seemed difficult, because Hagar, she really didn't have a choice, but because Hagar walked away, she walked out of, but she stepped into. She walked out of slavery and she stepped into royalty. And when you look at the Arabs and the Palestinians, where all the oil and all of this stuff is, well, those are the people, the offspring of Ishmael, Abram's other son. Isaac was the offspring. From him came the Jews, and out of the Jews came the Christians, and so forth and so on, you see. But when you think about the power of a woman that can walk away, there are a few things that you're going to have to navigate, because usually a toxic man is not going to let you go just that easily. Sometimes, it's as serious as they threaten physical violence or they perform physical violence. That's not to be, missed. But in most cases, it's the psychological game. To actually walk away from a toxic relationship, you're going to have to overcome guilt tripping. After all I've done for you. I was talking with one of my dear daughters that's in Mordecai Mission, the mentoring program that Lisa and I conduct once a year. And she was talking about how her particular man just tries to guilt trip her. You mean to me all I've done for you, are you going to walk away from me? And so I just asked one simple question. What has he really done for you? And she had to pause and she had to kind of snicker, because he's not really done anything. But the mind games will make you believe that somehow you're doing somebody wrong that's presently destroying you. Then you'll have to overcome the love bombing. When you try to walk away, they'll become everything you ever imagined all over again. The same way they baited you in from the beginning is the way they'll reel you back in again with all of the love bombing, just doing everything you can imagine to make you feel valued and respected, but it never lasts. It's because it's just a ploy to get you reattached. And then you're going to have to fight through the gaslighting where they make you feel like you're losing your mind, that it's really you. You're the problem. You're the reason this relationship doesn't work. I really do love you. That's why I put my hands on you. That's why I hit you, because I love you so much. And you made me do that. And you're sitting there and you scratching your head. You're like, oh, did I really do that? I did speak, I did speak out of turn. Is there such a thing in a relationship? I did elevate my voice. You're being gaslighted. And then you have, we talk about all of this in my latest book. You have the flying monkeys, where they send people into your life to reel you back in, mutual family and friends. They'll send in, what's going on? What you doing? You trying to destroy your relationship? He's a good guy. They know absolutely nothing about the abuse that you endure in private, but he'll send them in to do his bidding. So these are some of the things that you're going to have to be aware of and understand that you're going to have to overcome when you make up your mind that you're going to walk away. Now, let's get into it. I think I have 1, 2, 3, 4, what is this? 5, 6. I actually have 6 points, and I'm not going to be long. I say that all the time, but I am a Black Baptist preacher, so y'all know how that goes. Number 1, the woman that has the power to walk away gives her soul, her mind, her emotions. She gives her soul the space to heal. Walking away for a woman is an opportunity for healing. Toxic relationships can have, usually create deep emotional wounds that take time and space to heal. So when a woman walks away or goes no contact, as we talk about in my book, Me, My, Mine, biblical perspectives on narcissistic abuse, when a woman goes no contact, she can start to focus on her own healing and her own recovery rather than being constantly pulled back into the toxicity of the relationship. You see, you're trying to break a soul tie while staying in the same environment. And let me see if I can find it. There's one. Well, look over here in Ecclesiastes, chapter 3, verses 5 through 6. It says, there's a time to throw away stones and a time to gather stones. There's a time to embrace and a time to refrain from embracing. There's a time to search and a time to give up a thing as lost. There's a time to keep and there's a time to throw away. You got to recognize the time, because when it's time to throw a thing away, when it's time to give up a thing as lost, when it's time to no longer embrace, it means that you now need the space away from this individual that you may heal. One person said, you can't heal in the same environment that made you sick. Overall, going no contact from a toxic man can be a very difficult and painful process. It's usually more painful for most women than it is for most men, because most men Men rarely get to a place where we really love. We don't allow our hearts to love so easily. Now, when a man does love, it actually hurts him worse when a relationship doesn't work. It actually does, believe it or not. Now, women are hurt more frequently because women are built to nurture. Women are built to love. And so when it does not work, women typically have invested more of themselves into the situation. So it's not easy for women many times it's a painful process to pull away, break away, walk away from a man that she feels like she loved, because the love in her always makes her believe she can love him enough that he'll learn to love her back, which is a horrific lie that the feminine soul tends to hold on to. But it can also be, walking away can also be a necessary step for a woman's mental health and her well-being. You got to look at yourself, and you got to be able to say to yourself, I'm not good. I'm not healthy. This is not working for me. And see what it does for you when you pull away from it. It cleanses your appetite. You don't realize how much of an effect bad eating, let's think about it from a physical sense. You don't realize how much bad eating is affecting your sleep, your emotions, your overall feelings, your health, until you pull away from bad eating and you start eating halfway decent. Come on now. When you start eating halfway right, you separate yourself, you walk away from the bad food and you start eating halfway decent, and you realize the energy you have, and you realize the inflammation, if you're at a certain age, that was in your joints from eating so much fried stuff and all of this kind of thing. You don't feel the pain anymore. You realize the acne clears up on your face because you've walked away from your appetite for bad food. Well, likewise, when you walk away from a bad man or a toxic relationship, it cleanses your appetite for bad men. Now, what's the mistake? What's the common mistake most women make? They'll walk away from one bad man, and before they can purge the palate, they go and find the exact same kind of man in another pair of tennis shoes. See, when you walk away, you need to experience a season of being alone so you can heal. Come on now. The next thing that happens is that your mind gets renewed. You begin to rethink what you really want, what your dreams are, what your vision is, what you deserve, what you actually desire. And then you begin the journey of what? Self-care. When you were tied up in that relationship, everything was about him. But now you have the space since you walked away, and now you've taken space to heal. Now you're getting into self-care. You're finding what calms you down, what settles your anxieties, and what makes you feel good. Now, when you think about it, when a creation is broken, it must be returned to the manufacturer to be remedied. If a product goes bad, many times stores will say, don't return it to us, send it back to the people that made it. So when a woman's heart is broken, she needs to get back to the Creator, to the Almighty. She needs to get back to God to heal, because God is the creator of the what? Soul, the heart. In 2 Corinthians 6:17, he says, wherefore come out from among them and be separate, saith the Lord, touch not the unclean thing, and I will receive you. You see, healing is in the embrace of the Almighty. Healing is not in the embrace of another man. Right? Healing is in the embrace of the Almighty. When the heart has been broken, we got to return the heart to the manufacturer and let the manufacturer fix the heart. Glory to God. Now, number two, when a woman has the power to walk away, not only does she give her soul the space to heal, but number two, she allows the man, and this is in no sequential order, I'm just randomly giving you the points as I thought about them. She allows the man clarity regarding her value. You know, it was after Lisa walked away, and I always valued and respected Lisa. That's why I didn't string her along and said, I respected her. So I said, I don't think I want to get married. I think it's best you probably move on, because I knew she wanted to be married. And I knew I loved her and I knew I valued her. But when I no longer had access to her, it was then that my appreciation for her went through the roof. It was then that I came to this understanding, man, this is my wife for life. This is the woman that I can be faithful to for the rest of my life. And now here we are, 27 years later, wow. But if Lisa had, when I said, okay, I think I don't want to be married, if she had why? Please, if she had gone through all of those things, I don't know if we would even be friends today. It was Lisa's strength to walk away from me that forced me into clarity mode. Sometimes separating from a man who is toxic or who doesn't value a woman's worth may help him to see her true worth. Now, all Christians don't agree with me. I'm just not a fanatical type Christian, and I'm very practical, and I believe that God is very practical. And so I'm not one of these people that says to people, well, man's beating you up, and a man doesn't want to work and he's laying around spending all the money and ruining your credit. Hang in there, pray about it, wait on. I'm just not that guy. I never tell people that you should get a divorce, because I do understand and appreciate, the values that we share in Christianity relative that center around marriage. But everybody that went to the altar didn't come out with a marriage. Some of y'all just came out with wedlock. And so what I do is I suggest to men and women, actually, more women than men, obviously, that when things are not going right, you don't have to necessarily get a divorce, because ultimately that's a decision you have to make between you and God. That's not something I can counsel you on or tell you. Nobody should really tell you need a divorce. That's something you got to figure out on your own. But one thing I do think can be very helpful in a situation where you're married to somebody and maybe they're just missing it, they're not doing their part, is put some separation there. And you say, okay, now look, I'm not feeling what you got going on right now. So look, you stay here. I'm going to go over here by my mom for a minute until we can figure this out. Because sometimes separation allows a man to get the kind of clarity, especially when you're separating from a position where you're saying, I'm not promising you I'm coming back here. Now, I love you. I'd love for this to work. But it ain't going to work unless we really get some things fixed. Now, if you just pulling off trying to think you go impress somebody over 2 or 3 days and then they're going to come big. And no, you got to be in a mindset where you're serious and you put the distance there and you allow this person to have and experience the clarity regarding your value. When you feel unappreciated, disrespected, there needs to be some space. Because access disguises value. Just like absence makes the heart grow fonder, access breeds contempt. We usually lose appreciation for the thing we have access to. Sometimes we have to separate the value we are from the individual before the individual can appreciate the benefits that we bring, or that you bring as a woman, because we're talking about women. Matthew chapter 10, verses 13 and 14, this is the Amplified. Listen to how it reads. If the family living in the house is worthy, welcoming you and your message, give that house your blessing of peace, that is a blessing of well-being and prosperity, the favor of God. But if it is not worthy, if they don't receive you and they don't honor you, take back your blessing of peace. Whoever does not welcome you nor listen to your message, as you leave that house or city, shake the dust of it off your feet in contempt, breaking all ties. Because if a person is not deserving or worthy of the blessing that you are, you can't just keep casting your pearls to swine. You got to put some distance there so that they can see the value that you really are, because sometimes people are just not clear. And distance allows for reflection. Now, when a man is used to having a woman in his life, he may take her, quite often we do, he may take her for granted. Or maybe he won't fully appreciate her worth. Separating, pulling away, walking away from this man can create the distance and the space for him to reflect on the relationship and the value that the woman brings to his life. My grandfather, God bless his heart today, my grandmother, my mother's mother and father, my grandmother served my grandfather, I mean, like nothing I've ever seen. I mean, she would run his bath water. He would take 3 baths a day. She'd run his bath water. She'd cook for him. She'd bring his food to him in his lazy boy while he's sitting watching television. She'd iron his clothes, have his clothes laid out for him. I've never seen, the closest thing I've seen, I mean, I've just never seen nothing like it. And my grandfather did not appreciate my grandmother. My grandmother never left my grandfather. At least she never chose to leave him. But my grandmother died early. She died in her 50s. She was a domestic, and she died on the job while cleaning other folks' house. She had a heart attack. And when my grandmother came up missing, when my grandmother did not return home, my grandfather's life fell apart. He didn't know, he would call out her name and would say all kinds of things. He didn't know the value that my grandmother brought to his life until my grandmother was no longer there. Come on now. Well, you don't need to die. You just need to change locations. When somebody is not appreciative or respectful of the value that you bring, you got to be strong enough as a woman to choose yourself and to walk away. It's important to note, however, that a woman should never separate from a man with the intention of changing him or making him see her worth. Separating should be done for her own, listen to this, her own well-being and self-respect, not as a way to manipulate or control the man. Ultimately, a man's recognition of a woman's worth is his own responsibility and cannot be forced or controlled by her. When you walk away, be serious about walking away. Now, if he wakes up like I did and you're still available or you still want him and you feel like he's sincere, return. But this is not a manipulative tactic. No. When you walk away, you're seriously choosing you, and you're taking the necessary space to heal and allow him to realize, what he had in you, and hopefully, in your mind, it's like hopefully he'll be a better man to the next woman. Now, number three, she is able, when a woman has the strength or the power to walk away, she is able then to ponder the error or the errors of her ways, the errors she's made, the mistakes she's made. Because as long as a woman is in the chaos of the situation, she cannot really see the mistakes she's making. It's not until she walks away that she can actually learn from what she's gone through. See, don't just take the pain and the shame away from the situation. Take the wisdom and the lessons and ponder your behavior. Why did you get into this? What have you learned from this? And take the lessons. Listen to what Psalms 119, 71 and 72 says. It is good for me that I have been afflicted, that I might learn thy statutes. I didn't just go through this, I grew through this. Don't just go through it, grow through it. Don't just take the pain and shame, take the lessons and the wisdom. It says, it's good for me that I've been afflicted, that I might learn thy statutes. This is why younger women, in a lot of cases, should really pay attention to older women who are trying to tell you you're making a mistake. Now, if an older woman's life has no fruit on it and she's still out here doing the same thing, she's 50 years old, still out here doing the same thing 20-year-olds are doing, well, you probably, disregard that. But see, like you said about women whose lives are together and they're telling you, you making a mistake here, if I were you, I would rethink this. These women have gone through it. And, you're going to either learn through harsh experiences or safe instruction. If you got women in your life that are trying to give you safe instruction, why choose the curtain that has hard experiences behind it? You don't need to experience that and have all that trauma show up on your countenance and age you before time and ruin your health and mess up your emotions and have you full of anxieties when you can just sit down and listen to folk who've gone through it. Now, listen to what verse 72 says. The law of thy mouth is better unto me than thousands of gold and silver. Here's how it reads in the Passion Translation. The punishment you brought me through was the best thing that could have happened to me, for it taught me your ways. The words you speak to me are worth more than all the riches and wealth in the whole world. Now, there are few things that will happen in a woman's life when she's gone through it, and she's come out of it, and she's walked away from it. She's able to ponder the error of her ways. Letter A, she realizes the error of pursuing relationships before she's established her self-worth. Most times women will discover that. I jumped into this relationship before I really developed my self-worth, my self-esteem. This is why I invested more of myself than I should have into a situation that was not, reciprocal. Letter B, she learns the error of living beyond or living without boundaries. Because you didn't establish boundaries, you allowed certain things to transpire in your life. These are things that you come out of this learning when you walk away from it and you look back in retrospect and you start pondering the things you learn from it. You realize that I should have established boundaries. I learned you learn the importance of boundaries. When you separate from a toxic person, you may realize that you always needed to set clearer boundaries in your relationships to protect yourself. Yeah. If you had had boundaries, it would have never gone this far. You would have never gone that far with this individual. But you don't see these things until you're out of it. And I was thinking about just the understanding the importance of boundaries for a woman. And then the thought came to my mind, how may a little kid walk through wild carnivores? Can you imagine that a child walking through a field of carnivores, lions and tigers and bears? The answer comes back, boundaries, fences, gates, walls. A child can walk through a field of wild animals when there are boundaries. Boundaries are there to protect you. But how many women have lived their relational lives with no boundaries and wonder why you continue to get devoured? Letter C, she realizes the error of trusting before verifying, that it's a setup. You running off with your emotions and you're trusting somebody that you've not verified. I say to people all the time, trust is not something I can give you or you can give me. I can't gift you with trust. Trust is something that you have to earn over a period of time. Listen, in the author is unknown. It says, never blindly trust anyone, including yourself. Always question everything. But these are lessons that you can look back and ponder and learn once you've gotten out of it. While you're in the chaos of it all, you're dealing with too much to even think this deep. Now, number 4, she learns, the woman that has the power to walk away, she learns her own strength. Because presently there's some of you that are watching and listening to me now, and you're like, there's no way in the world I can do it. My heart can't take it. I just can't do it. But when a woman finally pulls the trigger to walk away from a toxic man, she learns that she has always been more than she was made to believe she could be. She could always do more than she was made to believe she could do. Her conditioning taught her to be a dependent. But her separation teaches her how strong she actually is. She realizes that she's stronger than her feelings. She realizes that she doesn't have to be governed by her emotions and her feelings. She can be intentional. She can feel attraction and still make a wise decision. She can be sexually attracted, still say no, and still choose the best route for her personally. Well, how does she learn her own strength? She learns that she can make decisions for herself. Many women feel incapacitated in terms of making decisions for themselves, and I don't know what I'll do without my man. Well, if you got a man, is out for debate anyway. Letter C. She learns that she can provide for herself. Many women are stuck in relationships because they think they got to stay there for the money, not understanding that once you get out of that situation, God's going to open up all of the doors, your creativity and opportunities for you to realize that you can actually take care of yourself. And in letter D, she learns that she can find happiness by herself. She learns her own strength. Now, number 5, she recalibrates, the woman that has the power to walk away, she recalibrates her soul. She moves back to the creator's default. When I used to work with PCs, I work with Apples now. But when I used to work with PCs, I would get, viruses on the thing all the time. And there were days that I would just have to go back to the manufacturer's default to clear some of that stuff out of there. They just bring me straight on back to the manufacturer's default. And a lot of times as a woman, it's not until the woman walks away that she can recalibrate her soul and she can return to God's original order for her. Come on now. God's original internal settings for her. You see, you've allowed the fingers of all kinds of toxic men to have access to your soul, and these toxic men have changed the settings, and now you got all of these viruses and all of these bugs going off in your psyche and in your mind and in your emotions. Well, when you walk away and you separate yourself from the chaos, you allow your soul to be recalibrated. I like the way David says it in the 23rd Psalm, verse 3, and this is the Passion Translation. It says, that's where he restores and revives my life. He opens before me the right path and leads me along in his footsteps of righteousness so that I can bring honor to his name. She restores her self-respect. She recalibrates her soul. She comes back to the place where she respects herself. Just the idea that you walk away from something that you don't deserve is going to be a huge boost to your self-respect. She sanctifies her sex life. when you can walk away from that soul tie and purge yourself sexually so that you're no longer under the, almost like the spell of the sex in this situation. And then she reclaims her independence. Yeah, you see, the toxic relationship pulled you away from your independence. But now that you've walked away from it, you're able to reclaim your independence. And then number 6, and finally, and I'm done, the power of a woman that can walk away. She gives God space to bless her. You see, as long as you're tied up in a situationship that dishonors God, disrespects you, you tie God's hands. But when you break out of those, bonds, toxic bonds, and you walk away from that, and you create a space for God to step in, you discover how quickly God can be good to you. You create space for the Almighty to bless you. God will bless you with peace of mind. God will bless you with the strength to power through. God will bless you with a new circle of friends. God will bless you with independence. God will bless you with the necessary resources you need. God will open the doors for housing and everything else you need. God will open up avenues for, career opportunities, entrepreneurship, and ultimately, God will bless you with a man that deserves you. But you got to have the strength or the power to walk away from a man that does not deserve you. And so there you have it. There are 6 things that come about as a result of a woman having the power to walk away. May I pray for you? Heavenly Father, my prayer for everyone listening to me right now is that you will mend every broken heart. There's some, dear God, who have already made this move, some who are contemplating this move. Some made this move and got caught up again and came back, and now they're feeling most miserable behind this message. God, all of them, meet them where they are and give them a sense of peace. And let them know, dear God, whatever the situation is, you've given them hope and a future. They can recover. Come on now, hallelujah. They can recover, and they can survive, and they can thrive. And I speak peace to their minds. I speak wisdom to their hearts, courage and confidence to their souls. In Jesus' name, amen, 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 amen. Listen, I've enjoyed this time with you. Now, don't forget that we're getting ready this weekend. We're getting ready to officially launch Me, My Mind. You'll be able to find it on Amazon. You'll have access to the Audible version of it. You'll have access to the electronic version of it. And stay glued to my social media. terms of Facebook, YouTube, YouTube community, and Instagram. Because relative to the electronic version, we're going to do something special with that for I think like 48 to 72 hours. So I don't have the specifics right now, but I'll post it once we're clear on exactly what we're going to do. But I want you to help me to blow this book out of the water. This is a book that the world needs. Me, My Mind, Biblical Perspectives on Narcissistic Abuse and How to Overcome It. So look, help me out with that. Now, go to my website, rcblakes.com, sign up for my mailing list. I will also be sending the information about the book launch and all of that through to our mailing list community. So sign up for that. Check out all of the online programs while you're there. And don't forget to go by Amazon and look at all of my other books while you're there. If you need counseling, BetterHelp Counseling is available to you. And if you look in the description, there's a link specifically for R.C. Blake's Ministries that I have that leads to BetterHelp Counseling. If you go there and you search it out and you feel like it's something that will work for you, the link, going through my link, will afford you 10% off of the cost of their counseling. And in turn, BetterHelp will make a deposit into R.C. Blake's Ministries for the fact that I referred them to you. Now, I think I want to appreciate all of you who have sown, given into our lives. Lisa and I, we so appreciate you and we love you so much. We thank God for you and we do not take it lightly. Now, I think I'm done. And I just want you to remember this one thing. You're on top and you're going higher. God has more in store for you. So Lisa and I will see you at the top. And before you leave, make certain
dancing in the night, lost in rhythm tight, heartbeats take the flight, love sparks ignite, stars above us shine, euphoric feelings climb, held in beats of time, harmony so fine, symphony of love in the sky above. We become the dove, fly and join my love. Moonlight on our skin, where dreams do begin, melodies within, hearts forever kin. In the rhythm's trance, every step's a dance, mystery, romance, chance and circumstance, symphony of love in the sky above. We become the dove, fly and join my love. In the rhythm's trance, every step's a dance, mystery, romance, chance and circumstance, symphony of love in the sky above. We become the dove, fly and join my love.
hoping that you like this video, share this message in Jesus' name. Amen. God bless you. Until next time.
We here at R.C. Blake's Ministries want to thank you for spending this time with us today. R.C. and Lisa are always honored to have you with us. Don't forget to reach out to us by visiting our website at www.rcblakes.com. While you're there, you may join our mailing list and receive a free download of The Laws of Manifesting Your Vision by R.C. Blakes. Also look at all of the online programs by R.C. You may find all books written by R.C. and Lisa. Once again, all of us here at R.C. Blake's Ministries want to thank you from the bottom of our hearts. And as we always say, see you at the top.